Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Chairperson.
Afternoon, Sherry.
Hello. Chairperson, you on mute.
Good afternoon, Ms. Nicker and members. My computer tells me that it's just gone 2 o'clock. We are quorate, and I would therefore like to officially open this meeting and start with the proceedings. Thank you very much, members, for being here. This is the meeting of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. Today's date is Tuesday, the 2nd of February 2021 at 2 o'clock. And our agenda has been circulated before. It is mostly, as you will see, a meeting of administrative nature, dealing with reports, minutes, as well as giving us some insight as to what we can expect over the next quarter. Honourable members, I would like to give each and everyone just a brief opportunity to introduce themselves. Can we start with Honourable Bartman, then I see Honourable Maseko and Honourable Maran in that order. Should anybody else also join, could they come afterwards, please?
Thank you, Chair. Dear Bartman, member of the committee.
Thank you, Honourable Maseko. It seems as if you might have a problem with your sound.
Thank you.
Yes, there you are now.
Chair, Mateko, member of the committee. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, although your microphone shows muted on my screen, but thank you very much. You're most welcome. And then Honorable Maran.
Afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pat Moran, and I'm a member of this committee. Thanks.
Good. Thank you very much, honourable members, and thank you very much. I see Ms. Niekerk is on. I see Honourable Herron has just joined us. If he would be so kind just to introduce himself as well.
Thank you, Chair. Brett Herron, member of the committee.
And then thank you very much for our support officers, Ms. Niekerk, leading and organising this meeting, but then also Mr. Njamela, Ms. Candice Morris and Mr. Siraj Assam from our IT support services. You are all most welcome. Honourable members, the agenda has been circulated, and I would like us to follow the order of the agenda as provided to you. And the first one, and I do hope that Ms. Niekerk is standing ready to be able to beam these reports onto our screens, is a report on the annual report discussion of the Department of Agriculture and CASIDRA for the 2019-2020 financial year. Honourable members, there you see it on the screen, and can I therefore just put to you page 1 of that report, then page 2, page 3, and then page 4. Any comments? And if not, can I get a proposal that we adopt it?
Chair, sorry, I was waiting for you. Chair, may I go ahead?
Yes, please. Please, I'm looking for a proposal for adoption.
Apologies, my hand was up, but I wasn't sure if I should just jump in. I propose that we move to adopt.
Thank you very much. We've got a proposal. Is there support for that proposal? Honourable Maran.
Chair, no, I don't have a problem to support, but I just thought that maybe, I'm not sure whether today, the presiding officer just to give feedback in terms of the information that we have requested from either department or CASIDRA. But I have no problem to support.
Good, thank you very much. It's seconded then by Honourable Maran. Can I ask Honourable Maran that you leave your request for more information for the end of the meeting, so that we just deal with the contents or the correctness of the reports at present. Thank you very much. I then put to you agenda point 1.2, report on the annual report discussion of the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning and Cape Nature, also for the 2019-2020 financial year. You see page 1 there on the screen. I put to you then also page 2. It has been circulated before, that's why I'm not giving time for us to read all the words there. And then lastly, page 3. Any amendments that you would like to propose, Honourable Bartman?
No amendments, Chair. I would like to propose that we adopt.
Thank you. And I also see the hand of Honourable Maran.
Chair, again, I don't have a problem to support, but again, you've said let's park it for later. Just to get an update on the new amendments of the amended legislature, basically the new responsibilities in terms of waste management for. But as you have said, I'm in support, but that issue can also stay till the end of this meeting.
Good. Thank you very much. And thank you for understanding, Honourable Maran. And I take that as you seconding the adoption of the report. That brings me then to the minutes of the 4th of December 2020. Thank you for being so quick, Ms. Nikak. Honourable members, that was the meeting where we considered the annual report, page 1. Then page 2. Page 3. And the last page there, again, Honourable Maran, I see your hand. I don't know if it's still raised from the previous agenda item. I'm looking for either input or that we adopt the report. Honourable Maseko.
I move that we support, Chair.
Thank you. I see Honourable Bartman's hand.
Chair, I second.
Thank you very much. The minutes of the 4th of December is therefore adopted. The next one that Ms. Nikkerk will beam onto our screens is the minutes of our meeting of the 8th of December. That is when we considered the annual report by the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. Sorry, Ms. Nikkerk, I think you've now got the quarterly report on there. I think we're still looking for the 8th of December's minutes. Sorry, Ms. Nikkerk, do you have the minutes of the 8th ready as well?
Chairperson, my apology. I was just kicked out of the meeting now. So sorry about that. It's lost connection there.
No problem. We understand the circumstances beyond our control. So, honourable members, again, the meeting of the 8th, those minutes have been circulated last week already. So if I could just again ask you, Ms. Nikkerk, it seems to me you've got it up there now. So I'm again putting to you first page 1. And page 2. And then lastly, page 3. Honourable members, if there is no comment or input, can I therefore get a proposal that it be adopted? Ms. Bartman, Honourable Bartman.
Chair, I move to adopt.
And I also see the hand of Honourable Maseko.
I second the adoption, Chair.
Thank you very much, honourable members, and thank you for being so swift. Honourable members, this brings us now to the quarterly report, that is the report on our activities for October, November and December last year. And we've also got that there on the, well, we used to have it on the screen. It will probably appear on our screens now. Thank you. There it is. Again, Ms. Nikkerk, perhaps you could just jump from page to page. And when we get to, I think, table 7, attendance of members, if you could just stand still for a moment there. So members could just check their personal attendance. Good. Then let's continue. Good, and that. Thank you very much, honourable members. Can we get a proposal that this be adopted as an accurate reflection of our activities for that quarter? Honourable Bartman, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I move to adopt. I just would like to point out on the page regarding our attendance, I did email the procedural officer previously today just to indicate that I'm not a Mr. as in male. And so you will notice there that she has changed it, and I didn't want the committee to feel misled by the fact that the amendment is not highlighted. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much, Honourable Bartman. So we've got a proposal that it be adopted. Any proposer for or any support for that proposal? Honourable Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. I am going to second, but I can't see any document, and I didn't look with my attendance if it's in order. I'm going to trust that everything is in order because our procedural officer has never let me down. So I in support for the adoption, Chair. But for the IT, I can't see any document that is uploaded.
Thank you, Honourable Maseko. According to this document, you've got 100% attendance. So I assume that that is an accurate reflection. Also, if I recall, you attended all our meetings.
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you, Chair. That's the truth.
Good. Thank you very much.
Chair.
Honourable members, sorry,
Chair.
Honourable Maran. Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, Chair, maybe it's an issue that you need to take up because I've noticed now. And yesterday, in the meeting of local government, I've also noticed that their budget for the year is 100,000 Rand, where we, for instance, have a two-in-one, two committees in one, only have 132,000 Rand. It's not enough. We've got two committees, environmental affairs. Yeah. I think at the later stage, it's an issue that you need to take up further, whoever is dealing with the budget.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honourable Maran. Thank you for raising that issue because it's a valid issue. And members, when we come to our upcoming program, you will see that next week we will be meeting on legislation from the Western Cape on land use. And this will, in all probability, also entail some additional costs. As you will know, it's the cost of advertising and calling for comments on proposed legislation has become quite a significant expenditure for the Provincial Parliament. And perhaps, Ms. Niekerk, you could just quickly inform the members, because I believe we are now done with the adoption of the documents that we need to adopt today. So, Ms. Niekerk, would you just tell us, do we have a problem and how are we going to resolve that problem?
Chairperson, I was kicked out of the meeting again. I disconnected when Member Madden was speaking, but I gather it's around the allocated budget for the committee. Correct,
and the point he raised was that actually our budget is the same as that of other committees, whereas our expenditure may be higher. And I then just referred to the whole issue of the advertisements calling for comments on proposed legislation, and that there is another advertisement that we may have to discuss next week, and that the budget may be problematic. Perhaps you could just inform us of what do we do in a case like this.
Okay, the committee's budget lies with the section under the manager committees, and I have done a budget forecast for the rest of this financial year, and then up until June in the new year. So that's from May and June as well. So what will happen is that that will be taken into account, but what normally happens is that all committees get allocated the same budget. We do project on a monthly basis what the expenses of the committee are, and then the holder of that budget would then work with finance, and then funds would normally be shifted around amongst committees that actually do not have legislation and maybe does not have as much of the expenses as a particular committee. So the committee need not fear that there will never be funds available. It's a pool of funds that has been set aside and then allocated to committees. But if committees use more of the budget and others use less, it's moved around in that way. All right.
Good, thank you, Ms. Niekerk, and thank you for raising that item, Honourable Maran. Honourable members, these were the reports that we had to adopt today. I just believe that we need to look at our tracking document, because we in the past adopted a number of resolutions in which we envisaged that we would like to attend to or to return to certain items as per the minutes of our previous meetings. And Ms. Niekerk was so kind as to prepare a document that shows all the what she called open items where we cannot say that, you know, we've already actioned it or we have been able to finalize the matters. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like us just to quickly look at a number of these and ask you as members whether you still support that we try and attend to this, or whether there have been more pressing issues that may have come or arisen in between. And just as an example, Honourable Maran contacted me last week, for example, when we had another accident involving farm workers on the back of a truck, that as a committee we should urgently also consider the whole issue of the safety or the safe transport of farm workers. I think we should be open to deal with pressing issues and not, you know, deal with the items that we adopted earlier in a chronological order. So, honourable members, there was the Department of Agriculture to come and address us on forests and deforestation and the bee and the honey industry. We also asked it or decided in the past to attend to the issue of illegal workers, the issuing of work permits, etc., in the agricultural field. Also the fiscal constraints of the department in terms of National Treasury, particularly with the now with the cutbacks due to COVID. Then there was also the visit to the farms Anhalt, Waaikraal and Amalienstein, where we've been able to visit Waaikraal and Amalienstein, but Anhalt, as you may know, is no longer under the control of Casidra, so we may wish to amend that decision and say, well, we can close that issue. We've been to Waaikraal and to Amalienstein. The next one was a decision to look at the carbon dioxide emissions database, the economic risks, etc., of climate change, etc. So that was an issue. Another one was the again the turnaround strategies for Amalienstein and for Waaikraal. Then there was the issue of illegal poaching of abalone, and then we also wanted Cape Nature on again deforestation, and I think that one we've dealt with, Ms. Niekerk.
Chairperson, that was around the Milkwood Forest, that resolution.
Yes, and we then did visit that then. No? Okay, then Honourable Maran.
Now that you have spoke about the Milkwood Farm, I saw the hand of the Honorable Maria pops up.
Good, thank you very much, because I'm following that document on my screen, so thank you for pointing that out. Honorable Marais, you're most welcome, and we give you an opportunity to address us.
Thank you, sir. I'm so glad that this issue has now been, again, once more been highlighted. Not only Milkwood Forest, but Mr. Marang would remember that we were not happy about the preparation Casidra has seen to in terms of developing the communities of Amalistein, Vaikraal, and many others under its authority. Now we've already heard from the National Minister in correspondence to this committee in response to a request I made when they will be transferring the 13 areas held in trust by the state to 13 or 23 communities, colored communities. And the minister's response was yes, that in terms of the Trankra Act, she's now set in motion a process and hope that by March, all these farmland will be transferred to the communities in community trusts. Now, the question is, the department, is that in their budget? How are they going to empower these communities? Will they bear the expense of any actions taken in this regard regarding referendums? Because there will have to be a lot of referendums to listen to the communities as to whether they want to be under the municipality or they want a community trust. Did they budget for this? And the planning ahead for before the transfer of this land is given to the community, where's the budgets to empower these communities and develop this land? That is at the back of my mind. I can see we're heading for, again, a situation where we just make announcements, but there's no action. So I would like to express my concern about this.
Thank you, Honorable Marais, and we note that. I see the hand of Honorable Bartman.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just in order to assist quickly, I'm going through these open matters, and I see many of them are simple requests for reports. So if they are requests for reports, I see, for example, the 19th February one seems to be request for information, which can clearly be put in the report. There's another 19th February request that clearly also even uses the words report. And my suggestion is where it says report or where it clearly simply asking for information, that simply be submitted to the committee in report format. And that where it specifically says oversight visit, that we then obviously leave that for oversight visit. And that in general terms, that between yourself and the procedural officer, you then allocate the most urgent matters, including the request from Member Maran that you indicated previously, to be more in the front of the program rather than later, because in various committees our program is already filling up quite quickly in terms of the legislation that is coming. And I also support Member Maran's indication previously that in committees where we have two departments, it's much difficult working with the same budget than a committee with only one particular department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bartman, and thank you for those points taken. Honourable members, can I then ask that we close the item on the visits to Vaikraal, Amalienstein and Anhalt, because we have been, as part of a bigger oversight tour to Amalienstein and Vaikraal, with Anhalt being handed over. If we should find ourselves in that area again, as you know, Anhalt is in the Langkloof, which is quite a distance from Cape Town, and with all the restrictions on us, I do not foresee that we may be in that area soon, but that we keep that in the back of our mind. But I think our procedural officer would like us to attend and close as many of the issues which we are happy for her not to actively pursue. So if I could find support for that, it doesn't mean that we're not still going to concentrate on Vaikraal and Amalienstein. The second decision in that we are closely going to monitor the turnaround strategies of these farms, that remains. In the absence of comment, yes, Honourable Mara.
Oh no, sorry, Chair, I thought you were finished speaking. My apologies.
No, please go ahead, Honourable Mara.
No, Chair, I actually wanted to support the view of the Honourable Baartman to say that most of the issues basically ask for a report. And it speaks about the date of 19 February, and that's why I've said maybe the procedural officer should just follow up with either Casidra or the department, how far they are in terms of those reports. So comes the 19th of February that the reports will be made available, or she will accept it and made available to the committee. The issue of Vaikraal and Amalienstein, I agree in terms of the visit, we should close it. But that particular issue should not be closed. Vaikraal and Amalienstein should not be closed. And I think basically we have asked for a report on the turnaround strategy. Although they have failed over the last 10 years to basically turn around that particular farms, and the promises that we have made to those communities was that those particular farms will be handed over to them, Chair. And again, consider I've asked for another period for those two farms under their management. So we would like to see, Chair, in terms of the turnaround strategy, what are they saying? Another 2 years, another 3 years, another 5 years, we'll be ready to hand over those lands. And I hear what the Honourable Marais said, basically, the response of the Minister in terms of the Tranca Act and those, whether it's towns or land, comes March, that process will be basically finalized. Whilst when it comes to these particular two farms, Amalienstein and Vaikraal, it seems impossible that they will be part of that particular process. Because Casilda have not asked for months, they've asked for years. So that one should not be closed. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Honourable Maran. And I agree with you. Let's also hope that those areas will see good rains, and that because as we know, rainfall and the prospects of a farm do go hand in hand. Honourable members, then there's also still the issue of Project Kulisa, where we decided that we would like the department to come and address us. Perhaps, if you wouldn't mind, we can also turn that into a report, a written report to the committee. And then there's the whole issue of the Brandvlei Dam, and I propose that intended visit remain on our program. And with that, honourable members, are you happy that we affirm the tracking document as it stands?
Yes, Chair, we do.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Honourable Maseku. I take that as general. Thank you so much. Then, honourable members, if we could look at our program for the first quarter of 2021. There we've got it. So starting with today's meeting, and then I just got a message from Ms. Niekerk that her connection is quite bad. She's been thrown out of the meeting on a number of occasions. So please bear with her. Fortunately, she seems to be back. Next week on Tuesday, we will be briefed on the Western Cape Land Use Planning Amendment Bill. And that bill has also been circulated to members already. And we will then also have to consider the public participation process. This is where the advertising costs may come in. Then we've also got scheduled for the 10th of February at 1 o'clock, and I do not see that there, Ms. Nikak, a special meeting at the request of Honorable Maran, and I'm grateful for that request, where we will be discussing the whole issue of transport and the safety of farm workers when being transported to and from work. So that would be on the 10th of February at 1 o'clock. I believe the members have been informed of that as well. And then there will be a briefing by Cape Nature on trophy hunting of leopard. Ms. Nika, can you scroll, or are you kicked out of the meeting again? Okay. Then there's also after SOPA, we will be deliberating on the various budgets for agriculture and for environmental affairs and development planning. And then we envisage that by then we would have the public input on the Western Cape Land Use Planning Amendment Bill. Ms. Nika, just the last page there.
Chairman.
Sorry, I'll give you an opportunity now, and then just to finish from my side, the last issue would be our mandate on the National Forest Amendment Bill and the Environmental Management Laws Amendment Bill. As you may recall, we dealt with this last year, and we sent through our comments, and we are waiting on the NCOP for their feedback. Honourable Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the whole issue Mr. Marang brought up is a very touchy issue, and I think it requires far more attention than what perhaps we're giving to it. It's the issue about people being transported like cattle on the back of a van or a bakkie. At the same time, in a motor car where you are far more protected, you are fined for not having a seat belt. You could have a seat belt to protect yourself, but they can have 20 farm workers in the back of the bakkie, no protection, no seat belts required. Now I want to know, is this an agricultural committee thing, or should this be something which we must ask that the transport section, roads and transport, should look at? Because they've got to come up with bylaws saying, are you allowed to transport people in such circumstances without the necessary protection of a seatbelt or a canopy or something? We can have an opinion, but the power lies with the Department of Transport. So I would just like to hear you on this issue. How are we going to engage with him?
Thank you, Honourable Murray. I also noticed the hand of Honourable Bartman, but I would like Honourable Maran to perhaps just motivate why he referred this issue to the Standing Committee on Agriculture. Honourable Maran.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, remember last week when we had the, I think it was a SCOPA meeting on agriculture, and on that very same day we had that meeting, there was another accident in Clubmats. And I asked the minister whether it has been brought under his attention, and he said yes. He then, Chair, suggests that because in most cases, it's basically agricultural workers at the backs of trucks that are involved in those accidents because they've been transported in huge numbers. So the minister then proposed that we as agriculture starts the discussion. We start it, although we know that the responsibility lies with the Department of Public Works and Transport. It's basically to discuss, and at the later stage we will engage also the Department of Transport, because the responsibility lies with that. I have seen basically, Chair, the regulations of transport in terms of the transportation of workers, Chair, and I'm not happy, Chair, how the regulations read and how it basically agrees that the transportation of workers in its current form is basically fine. It just say, for instance, where there's a vehicle without rails, the height of sitting workers, the rails should be 300 millimeters high. Standing, it should be 900. But it doesn't specify, for instance, how many workers could be at the truck. At least if the rails is 900. So, Chair, it's basically to have a discussion. We have also received basically proposals from the Agri Western Cape on how they think workers should be transported, and I think it's an issue for us to discuss, and at a later stage have a discussion with the Department of Transport where the responsibilities lies. There's already discussions between, I think, the two principals, which is the MEC of Transport and the MEC of Public Agriculture on this particular matter. But I think we should start at the committee level to start the discussion and take it further therefore.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honourable Maran. Honourable members, I wouldn't like us to start discussing the issue itself today. The issue is just, and Honourable Marais raised the question whether you believe that we as a committee should deal with this, even if we should initiate a discussion on this, or whether we should just pass it on to the Department of Transport and Public Works. Honourable Maseko, I see, sorry, Honourable Bartman and then Honourable Maseko's hands.
Chair, may I continue? I'm not sure which one is first now.
Honourable Bartman, you can go. Honourable Maseko dropped her hand, but I see she's raised it again.
Okay. Chair, sorry, I didn't think we were still on this topic. I thought we already supported Member Moran's recommendation, but I think a simple solution is to have the briefing and simply invite Transport and Public Works to have a joint meeting with us, and that might solve the problem. My specific question is actually regarding the Western Cape bill that is coming to us. I wanted to make a recommendation, similar to a recommendation I made last year for an NCOP bill, that when they bring the amendment bill, they must please send us the original bill as well. And when they send the documentation, they must please put the original clause next to the new clause and the explanation so that we can see specifically what is being changed. Because one of the problems in the NCOP bills last year that we found is they send us amendment bills, and the amendment bills are based on 100 bills previously that were amended, and the original has been changed so many times already, and then we really get confused and it becomes quite a lengthy and arduous process, and that is my suggestion, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Bartman, and I think I speak on behalf of the committee if I fully support that we receive not only the amendment bill but also a copy of the main original act, if that has not yet been circulated. Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think the mandate of transport, because it's with Minister Madikizela, and there is a standing committee there, it will be advisable if you can write the letter to the chairperson on behalf of the Standing Committee of Public Works and Transport to highlight the issue of the farm workers' transport and request that the engagement should be there between Minister of Agriculture and the Public Works as a joint meeting. That means you and Daylin, member Michelle, you'll have to decide when is that going to happen, and then we can engage both ministers in the standing committee.
Good, thank you, Honourable Maseko. Ms. Nikiak, perhaps you can just fill us in on the rules in terms of combined or joint meetings. If I recall correctly, we can invite the members of the other committee to also sit in and even speak at our meeting, but that eventually one of the two committees would be, if I can call it, the lead committee in terms of the agenda. But perhaps you could just help us, and I do hope your connection has improved.
I hope it will just stay this way for now, Chairperson. That is correct. The standing rules is silent on joint committees. However, it does make reference to a committee conferring with another committee. And that is exactly what you're saying. There would then be a lead committee, and the other committee would be invited to attend that meeting.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Niekerk, and I do hope, honourable members, that will address this issue. Then also in terms of our program going forward, and something which isn't appearing on the program that has just been beamed onto the screen. As you know, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament has got this long-standing tradition of focusing in the week running up to the State of the Province address on specific issues or specific communities. As you may recall, last year the State of the Province address was in Mitchell's Plain, and quite a number of committees therefore then visited various entities and spoke to some community role players in Mitchell's Plain. And I think Honourable Bartman has got a proposal in this regard in the run-up to the State of the Province address. And Honourable Bartman, and then thereafter Honourable Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Now, I just wanted to propose that given the amount of money that has been put by the Department of Agriculture for food gardens over the past year, if there is a food garden that has been supported in that area, whether we can possibly go and visit to go see how such money is being implemented.
Thank you, honourable members. Honourable Murray, before you go, is there any comment on this particular issue?
Yes, Chair. I would just like to make a suggestion. We are always just talking to ministers as though they have power unto themselves. There's a cabinet. A cabinet overrules any minister. But we never refer anything to the Premier if it's something so serious that we want to be given attention by the cabinet as a whole. This issue brought up by Mr. Marang about accidents and farm workers. Farm workers is a very sensitive issue now, and it's going to become more sensitive in the lead up to the municipal elections. The safety and conditions under which farm workers live and is being transported. Do you think that we as a committee should also brief the Premier on this, and that the Premier bring this up as a discussion point on the cabinet agenda instead of just talking in side corridors with ministers? It's just an idea.
Thank you. Comments from committee members? Honourable Bartman, is that a fresh hand that you've raised?
Yes, Chair, it's a fresh hand.
Please proceed, and then Honourable Maran after you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm a little bit confused as to what Member Murray is referring to. I would like some clarification whether Member Murray feels that this topic is not important enough to come before our committee, if he feels that the powers of a minister in the respective portfolios isn't strong enough to deal with the matters that fall within their respective departments and ministries, and whether he knows that there's also a Premier and Constitutional Matters Committee that is separate also to the two committees which we have recommended. I have heard Member Marang's recommendation for us, and I think it's a good recommendation for us to have a briefing on the respective matter. And I've heard Member Maseko's recommendation on let us bring transport and public works to the table. And I support that, because we must not speak as if there's only one department that deals with this particular matter. But I'm confused because it seems, and I don't want to put words in another member's mouth, but it sounds as if the member does not consider the matter important enough to be heard before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, before I give an opportunity to Honourable Maran, I think we must just understand that traffic laws is not in the first instance a provincial issue, although province has got the right to adopt certain regulations that is provincial in nature. But in general, I think what we as a committee can and try and should try to achieve is to get the employers to conform to a code of conduct that will improve the safe transport of their workers. Legislation plays a big role, but I think if we want quick results, the situation that we should strive for is one where employers will ensure that, say, for example, the vehicles are not overloaded, that they are roadworthy, and particularly because we know that in many accident cases, the problem is caused by driver error. Now, as I've said, I don't want us to discuss the merits of the regulations, etc. But I think if we could just concentrate on, particularly from an agriculture point of view, what can we, together with the Department of Agriculture, together with the agriculture role players, what can we achieve to address this issue or make some contribution in addressing this issue? Honourable Maran, you've been waiting quite a while now. I don't see your hand. Can I give you an opportunity now?
Thanks, Chair. Look, Chair, yeah, I was fine with the proposal made by the Honourable Maseko, basically for us as two committees to have a joint meeting. And I think the issue of who should take the leading role or who should chair that particular meeting is an issue that you and whoever is the chair of that committee can discuss and agree upon. I think the point that the Honourable Marais tries to make is to say that this matter is too much important, and therefore it should be discussed at the highest level within this province. But I think it will only be proper for us as a committee to discuss the matter and to at least to take something. If we want to say that the Premier should discuss it, the Premier would like to discuss it with us as committees in his presence, and at least we will have something, whether we have gathered information from the from labor or from employer side, we will have at least something to present to the Premier, but also to present to the Department of Public Works and Transport Chair. So I think it would be proper, and I will go with the proposal of the Honourable Maseko, that we should try and have a joint meeting as Agriculture and Department of Public Works. That's the one. On the second one, I just wanted to check with the Honourable Bartman in terms of the running up to the SOPA and the visit, basically the proposal that we made in terms of maybe food gardens before. Do you suggest that we go there a day or two before and sleep over? Or what do you mean, especially when we look at the budget? That I think there's a 25,000 left in our budget, and then also another 4,000 that's going to go over advertising, leaves us with 21. And if we have to go there and come back and go, the department will have to pay for transport. I'm not sure. Just explain what you meant. Should we go there a day before, 2 days before, and come back, and then I go for the SOPA? Thanks.
Thank you. Honourable Bartman, would you like to clarify?
Yes, Chair, I'm happy to clarify. So, Chair, to my knowledge, because there are different committees that might want to go and do oversight, that we could, for example, combine transport. And to my knowledge, also with such things, when we start joining the committees for going on oversight, we can take out of the committee pool as a whole instead of just from the agriculture budget. But it is a suggestion from my side for an oversight visit to a food garden, if any such exist in the area. And if members aren't happy with that or would like to make other suggestions, I'm open to also hearing, as I'm simply a member of the committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Maran. As I've said, it's a a long-standing tradition, it seems.
No.
And we will see to what extent the budget can be found. Obviously, our decisions are all subject to available budget.
Yes, yes. Basically, that's what I tried to say, Chair. The available budget to our availability, but also the Honourable Baartman have said it can be a joint oversight visit together us with the Public Works and also other committees, so that the strain is not that basically on us as agriculture. So I'm fine with the oversight visit, no problem. I just wanted to check, Chair, if we go there, are we going to, if we go, for instance, a day or two, whether we're going to stay there until the SOPA, or whether we will have to come back and travel there again. That was basically what I want to understand. But in terms of the oversight visit to that area, I'm in for it. I was never in, I have never basically visited Genadendal. What is the place name? Creighton.
Genadendal and Creighton is right next to it, yes. Good. Thank you very much, honourable members. That then deals with our program going forward. At the start of this meeting, I think it was also Honourable Maran that wanted to raise a number of issues emanating from the reports that we adopted earlier in this meeting. Sorry, Honourable Marais.
It seems that Honourable Baartman can never understand anything I say. So I want to put her in school again once more, and maybe she'll understand it this time. All I want to say is
Chairperson, I call for point of order in terms of the rules of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament.
Sorry, Honourable Marais, just a moment. I see there's a point of order being raised by Honourable Baartman.
Chair, I would like you to rule on whether Member Marais can use wording such as that he's going to school me, because I do not think that it is appropriate for someone to be using wording such as that towards another member within an official parliamentary committee meeting, especially since it is being directed to someone who's also female. If Member Marais disagrees with me, he can respectfully disagree with me, but he does not need to use derogatory terminology to refer to me when disagreeing with me.
Thank you, Honourable Baartman. I will rule on that at our next meeting, but Honourable Marais, please be careful and please take into account that we are all honourable members, and that you must please treat your fellow colleagues as honourable members. Honourable Marais, you can proceed.
To that. I take exception. I take exception. This member, Honourable Member Baartman, she doesn't care. She's told me she don't understand what I'm saying. She don't know what I mean. Now, if I must explain to her what I said, I'm schooling her. So I don't know why she's so touchy now. Then she should keep quiet in the meeting and not speak so often. She couldn't understand why I wanted to refer to the Premier, and she said she can't understand it. So now I'm trying to tell her what I meant, but she don't want to be schooled.
I think Member Marais is out of order.
No, you.
Honourable Marais, can I just ask, please? I've said I will rule on this at our next meeting. Will you please concentrate on the point that you would like to make, and please avoid language that can be taken as offensive, and by that I am not ruling that what you've said is not allowable. As I've said, I will come back on this issue, but please concentrate on the point that you want to raise and where you feel you've been misunderstood.
Someone muted the Honourable Marais.
Honourable Marais, I think you can unmute yourself.
Yes,
we hear you.
She said she don't know what I said, or what I meant when I said what I said. Now that means even though everybody else understood, she didn't. Now when I say let me school you, she take offense. I don't know why she has such a high opinion of herself.
Yes, Honorable
I'm just trying
Marais,
to tell her I'll explain. Yes?
please, can I ask you, you're most welcome to explain yourself again, but for the time being, I'm calling on you to please try and not address another member or express a feeling that you may have about another member. Just explain yourself so that we can all be clear on what you are, that you want to convey to us.
Okay, I'll start again, Chair. I said this matter of farm worker accidents on back of buckies is such a serious matter. We cannot leave it to two ministers, one agriculture, one is transport and roads, to try and meet and sort it out. What if they disagree? What if the one jealously guards his powers and says, no, I'm not going to do what you ask me to? Then the cabinet will have to take a decision of which the premier is the chairperson of the cabinet. This happens even at national level. I know Honorable Bartman has never been premier. She wouldn't know this. Now, I'm only saying, mustn't we escalate this to the premier's office because of its high importance? And it seems the only person who understood what I meant was Honorable Maran.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Marais. Point taken. You have said, what if the two ministers and the one minister would like to protect territory? Can I propose that we proceed as Honorable Maran initiated this, and as he has explained, the shocking news of the latest accident came through while we were all in a meeting with the Minister for Agriculture. And let's cross that bridge when we come there. Let's not assume now that the ministers will not see eye to eye in this respect. I am confident that everybody with the responsibility towards the citizens of the Western Cape will in this instance serve the interest of the citizens, and that we need not to fear what you are raising as a potential issue. If that should prove to be a potential issue, can I ask that we then refer this to the Premier of the Western Cape? Good. Thank you very much, honourable members. I would like us to step off this because it has now been scheduled. It is on our program for next week, and we will make sure that the necessary liaising takes place with members also from the Transport and Public Works Committee. Honourable Maran, very early on in this meeting, when we were considering the adoption of the reports, you wanted to raise certain issues, which I then asked you just to keep back on and to raise toward the end of our meeting. We are now at the point where we can decide on resolutions or actions going forward, and I would like to give you an opportunity to raise those issues now. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. But Chair, I thought that particular issue was covered the way that the Honourable Bartman raised it by saying that, because if you, for instance, look at Casidra, and there's a particular, let me quickly go to it, Chair. Just give me a few seconds. I think it was the what is it, Kulisa project, and the slow implementation, and then also women and youth, the support absent in that particular issue, but also other matters. Basically, Chair, it did ask for a report, and basically what I wanted to say, maybe we should get the report. But if you then look at the dates, and it means that there is still time left for those different departments to come forward with those reports. And what I've said, Chair, is that I think what our procedural officers should engage with the departments by saying, look, there is a cutoff date, how far you are, in terms of the request made by the standing committee so that they be ready to basically provide us with those reports comes the dates, Chair. I was also saying, Chair, that on the issue of Cape Nature and the amended legislation and the new responsibilities that they got in terms of, I'm not sure whether there's a date attached, of waste management, their new responsibilities. Maybe just to get a report from them, Chair. And if the date should be the 15th, so be it. It was just basically, Chair, to get reports from the departments where we have asked for reports.
Good. Thank you very much, Honourable Maran. So if I understood you correctly, you said it has been addressed in the documentation. We must ask our procedural officer just to do a follow-up and just point out to Casidra and to Cape Nature that we would like them to report in this regard. Ms. Niekerk, is that fine with you?
That's fine, Chairperson. Just through you, perhaps just for Mr. Maran's information and the rest of the committee, when the committee takes a resolution in a committee meeting, and that report is then adopted. So this report was only adopted today. So once the report is adopted, then I will draft a resolution letter to the respective department or entity requesting the information on behalf of the chairperson, and usually we give the departments 2 weeks to respond. So members will notice that in the report and the minutes, it says that the department is requested to submit this information by the 19th of February. So come the 19th of February and we don't have that information, I will then most certainly follow up with the department in that regard. All right?
Good.
Chair.
Thank you.
Honourable Maran.
Chair, I hear what the procedural officer is saying in terms of the report adopted today, but the actual meeting took a decision, Chair. The actual meeting, the report that we are adopting today, the actual meeting took a decision by saying that this is the information that should be provided to us as a committee by the 19th of February. Now, I'm not sure, Chair, in the absence of this report not adopted, whether the decisions that we have taken in a particular meeting, whether that should be executed or not. Because if I understand Ms. van Niekerk correctly, is that we can now give basically, we can, what is this word? Help me. We can now execute basically a decision that has been taken.
Okay. No, thank you very much. And I think the important thing is that we will obtain that information that the committee asked, and I think we all know Ms. Niekerk by now well enough to know that she will leave no stone unturned to get the entities to report to us in that regard. Thank you very much, Honourable Maran. Then, honourable members, are there any other issues for, on today's agenda that you would like to raise? In the absence of such an indication, I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending this meeting, for your active participation, for Ms. Niekerk and our other support staff who has made this possible. Thank you very much. And honourable members, I look forward to our engagements next week. This committee is quite a busy one with our 2 engagements next week. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve the province in this regard. And with that, I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your afternoon and evening. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.